All right, let's start. But first of all, I want to thank you, all of you, to be here and making the conference possible. Also, a big shout to the organizers that put lots of work in it, and also the sponsors, because without them, we couldn't do this. So thanks very much. All right, my name is João. I'm Portuguese, but I live in Netherlands with my family, and I classify my work today as a management consultant. I have a background in software engineering, but I really like to help organizations with those problems between technology and social parts. So really helping organizations to unlock more value with their teams and technologies, all right? In this talk, I'm going to explore some concepts why only flow and organizational structure is not enough, and we really need to look to our management models. If we really want to have a humane organization, if we want to have customer centricity and all of this type of stuff. All right? Was lunch good? All right, cool. But this is also going to be interactive. Did you witness Team Topologies failures? What did you witness? Someone?
Just in general, if something's like implemented or decided on something as a team, it doesn't quite work out.
Yeah. So
I'll give you more of an example because that's quite vague.
yeah.
So say if a bit of an application is running and behind the scenes we haven't quite. Is it on?
Yeah. So I don't need to repeat back. So 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was quite vague what I said, but say if there's an application that whatever team has implemented and it hasn't been quite tested or we haven't figured it out, then as a topology it will fail.
Yeah. So this is one of type of examples. Thanks very much. You're going to have lots of work. All right, cool. So I'm going to give you 3 examples. So one of them is what I call rename the org chart. So we have an org chart with whatever structure and shape, and someone come and the colors are really nice, and we just slap some colors on top of these and we say we are Team Topologies, right? I don't think that this is what Matthew and Manuel had in mind when they wrote the book. And we know, Matthew said yesterday that they just took lots of assumptions when they wrote the first book, and there is way more work to be involved. So I saw this a lot and helped people getting out of this trap. The second one that I love is that, well, today everyone wants a platform. And everyone gets a platform to dump work on it. Everything that I don't like to do, we need a platform and dump there. Doesn't help the organization, but hey, looks nice on my CV. Last but not least, we did all of these. What we really need is these enabling teams, and they're going to rescue us, right? Going to be fine. But sometimes we need to rescue the enabling team because they are just too busy firefighting. They are doing operational work that is not part of any other team, so they are in the middle of these value streams. And actually, they are not promoting flow. They are not helping people upskilling. They are not helping the organization sensing what are the blockers. So I imagine that you saw it, you were part of it, probably we have more. And this goes, we all know what Conway's law, this mirroring hypothesis, but this talk is not about this. This talk goes around this question, if it is the organizational structure for flow is enough. That is a concept that I'm been battling for the last 7-8 years. I did lots of mistakes, but also I had in the last couple of years lots of aha moments. So what we're going to do is going on my personal story, all right? So you need to take this with a grain of salt. But also, what I will not present to you is the new shiny management model. I actually going to talk about what underpins a management model. I'm going to give you some examples of work that I do with my customers. But you need to put the work to discover what works for you, all right? Big signpost. Everyone right? Let's go? All right. First question, what is a budget? Something that we need to spend. All right. That was a good one, and you didn't need to move. Anyone else? Sorry? It's a constraint. Yes, that is on definition. All right. A budget is a management tool. All right? Another question. How old is the budget as management tool? Just throw a number. 2000. No. 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 All right. The budget itself was formalized around 1922 by this gentleman. Do you recognize the name? Yes, it's the founder of McKinsey. And he wrote this to help companies to coordinate activities between departments, plan ahead, and solve organizational problems. He also wrote a very important thing that we forgot. That is, the budgets should be flexible, and when conditions change, we change the budgets. We didn't listen to that. Well, everyone was, of you heard about Agile, right? Working software over comprehensive documentation. We just throw documentation over the window, so we don't do anything. This is the same thing. So McKinsey had good intentions, all right? This was the period between First World War and Second World War. Industrial Revolution was well underway, and organizations need a tool to have oversight over what they were doing. This was his work that led to the consultancy company, and he has good intentions. He didn't have anything evil on his mind. Problem is that the world changed. The world is not the same world that we had 100 years ago, right? We create lots of technology. We are not on horses. We work remotely. Fiber is fantastic for overseas calls, right? So this was my first aha moment when discovering and working around this tool, which led me to this next question. Why do we budget? Someone? Control costs, correct. More. Trying to have value from what we do. They call it a different thing, but yes, more people. Predictability, forecasting. Setting expectations. So a budget primarily has three things, and you mentioned those things, but there are actually 6 things involved indirectly, all right? Target setting, expectations. What do we aim? What is our ambition? Financial forecasting. Okay, we have an ambition, but how the world looks like, right? Resource allocation, what we are missing. How do we get value out of this, right? Because we have a finite pool of money. We have a finite pool of resources, tools, buildings, a workforce. Do we go left or right? But then there are 3 other things that also a budget orchestrate. Performance management. Okay, if the good looks like this, did we achieve that, which leads to rewards? Last but not least, from resource allocation, we have our coordination mechanisms. What are the events, what are the cycles that we use in our company to keep things in check? Because we cannot do everything, simply, all right? It's true, right? The problem that we have with budget is that we establish that there are 6 things that it governs. It's very different things, but we only have a single number. My budget is 180 million and 25 euros and 3 cents. It's very accurate. These numbers feels that there is really scientific thinking behind it. It doesn't have. And the problem is, by one of the Greek philosophers, the problem is not we aim too high and fail, but we aim too low and hit, right? We start to blame the people, but the people's behavior is from the system that we use. So did you witness any dysfunctional behavior in the organizations? Yes. Which ones? You show yours, I can show you mine. People send back there. Exactly, right? So I do my budget, I'm gonna pump it up 30% because I know that someone gonna cut 20% or someone gonna cut my budget. So all of this discussion back and forwards, right? Someone else, here. Sandbagging, right? You can achieve maybe 200, but you're gonna say your manager 150, because if I do 165, I'm the king of the hill. Status based on the head count. Do I have a big enough kingdom? So we all see all of these, and this is promoted by only have a single number, because we have all of these forces battling against each other. And then the other one is that we forget that there is an environment around us, and most of us work on a capitalistic system, right? I never work in a company in a monopoly position. Therefore, means that we are competing with each other, which means that performance are not absolute numbers. It's relative performance, right? Anyone follows any type of team sports? Do you know a football team that says next season we're going to score 92 goals and do 84 points? No one. They're going to see we're going to play to win domestic competition and international competition. This is what they are going for. If they win every game for one goal, doesn't matter. And this is what happens, right? Because we don't predict things on our environment. We work with open systems. Things going to happen. We need to be adapted and very quick to react to it. COVID, right? We just threw in March all the budgets away because, well, the world is different. All right. Let's start doing a deep dive, and let me show you some of the things that I did and keep doing with my customers to start to create these adaptive and effective organizations, and why Team Topologies is not enough, but is a very important way to communicate these changes, all right? So we need to think about beyond budgeting, which is a movement that started 25 years ago, and they start to study, or they start to have the idea, are there companies that are managing without budgets? And the answer is yes. And since then, they are growing slowly. Why Beyond Budget is very close to Team Topologies? They don't believe in certifications as well. They don't have a certification scheme. If they had, they could be very rich by now. And this is also what attracted me to this community. So, all right, João, how do we set targets in an effective way? So this is a picture from a couple of years ago. In a conference, I was testing some stuff. But social scientists have many tools and research in Second World War around these practices. One of them calls search conference. You get everyone in a room or an open space, and you check your environment, you see your own problems, and you start setting targets. In my current customers, when we did this with one of domains, they set targets for themselves that even the board members didn't thought that was possible. Because people feel the trust and do this in a collaborative way. It's very structured. It's come out of actually research from 70 years or more, and it works. But then also we can start codifying things in this amazing tool from the 90s that is called a balance scorecard. Anyone saw one? But it's not fancy, it's not new, right? And what I like about a balanced scorecard is that in this paper of A4, we put these 4 dimensions: financial, profitability, revenue, all of those type of things; customer, how customer satisfaction, retention, market share; learning and growing, because we want our staff also to grow. What are these opportunities? Because, you know, people leaving and joining is very expensive. But also the efficiency point, right? What will change in our internal processes? And this is very interesting because in this one pager, we're going to see conflicts. The problem with other techniques that don't put these 4 dimensions is that we hide the conflicts. And those 4 dimensions are in play. This was created by Intel in the 90s, and it's behind why Intel grew so fast. They changed CEO threw this away, and today the American government needs to help them, if not, the company collapse. So these small tools that really help us with these type of visualizations can fuel target setting and can help us to have this conversation. All right, financial forecasting, rolling forecasting, what's new? Well, flash news, the year doesn't end on 31st of December. So actually what companies have is this static forecasting, aka the budget. And things are well, Q2 things are well, but when it gets to this, starts to be interesting. And then on Q4, one of 2 things happen. We burn the budget and now we have a problem, or we have too much budget. What do we do? Spend on training. By the way, it's Q4 and I also give training. But there is a better way. If we think 5 or 6 quarters, we can always have this rolling forecast, these actuals and things going. If anyone asks you a budget, you just need to take 4. Here is the budget. And here is where the things can work, because the biggest oil company in Norway actually uses SAP and uses this. So tools like SAP already have these modules. I'm not talking about anything that is magical. The point is that we keep evaluating, are we on track? Did something change around us that we need to reevaluate where we are going? All right? Now, resource allocation is really, really hard because we are talking about all these hard decisions. So let's think about, you know, a bank in Europe doing euros. So you have these SEPA payments, you have your payment engine, AML, mobile banking, everything is working. Now, comes up a new regulation that actually was coming in force this October, which means that you need to do verification of payee, different sanction screening, all of this type of stuff. So all of these parts of the organization needs to interact. So how do we fund it, right? How do we improve our platforms, improve our services to do that? Well, if we think about relative performance, we can also play with constraints, because rather than following the traditional cost budget, we can work with absolute constraints, a burning rate guiding, or start really play with relative constraints. So if we think about payments, is a business of input and output. A payment has a cost, and I can charge back to the customer something. Do I know how much payments I'm going to have? No, I don't, because I'm in the middle of the sandwich. If the bank decides to go to a big country like Poland or Germany or France, I'm going to have more payments. Yes, I'm going to have more budget. Do I want things to go linearly? So we have all of these type of discussions, and more progressive organizations just do monitoring, right? There are a bunch of the organizations across the world doing this type of stuff, but we have a menu to choose, which means that, yes, we have these business capabilities, but also our colleagues in accounting and finance, they understand these, right? I'm being studied a bit about accounting, just on top of the water, and there is a model that they call activity-based accounting versus cost-based accounting. Cost-based accounting is putting things on categories, salaries and buildings and taxi and this and that. But this doesn't give us what the company is doing. If we move to activity-based, we have direct and indirect costs. Now, we need translation, because in the land of enterprise architecture, we don't call this, if in a room full of people from technology, if I talk about activities, you're going to say design, build, test. These are not the activities that accounts are talking about. When an accountant talks about activities, in our language, is talking about business capabilities. My business capability is to have SEPA payments or some types of cash loans or mortgages. Those are the capabilities that a bank has that sums up to serve the customers. We already have the tools. We just need to have better conversations and better models to help us. All right. So we need to have, by using this type of tools, we introduce this mindful cost management. Spend, but don't spend more than that you need to do your job. But the thing that really unlocks it, it's beyond finance. Actually is at HR land. Because if the performance keeps being centered on the individual, if I achieve these, I'm going to receive a big bonus, we are setting up the organization for failure. All right? And one of these examples is this bank in the Nordics that don't operate with budget since the 70s, that they have a very interesting bonus scheme. Everyone receives the same. And when it's the same, it's the absolute number, let's say 1,000 euro. Since CEO to the graduate person that comes out of the college and has the first job. And this is important because they don't receive the money, they receive shares of the company, and shares of the company stays in a foundation. And this is brilliant because removes conflicts of interest. Because all of us that work on the same company, doesn't matter if it is my initiative or your initiative, what matters is the value of the bank goes up. By the way, this bank is here in the UK, it's the fast-growing bank in the UK, and you don't see advertising on the street. Because their customer centricity is so good that word of mouth works. And is on this hidden thing that is this reward system. I had a talk with Thomas yesterday that he was, okay, but how do I unlock this? Is with the rewards. It's really thinking these type of things and get out of Tayloristic systems saying, well, you produce 7 clickers, take a bonus. This is not what we are trying to achieve as a company. This is the hardest part, right? We need to have holistic performance. We need to have schemes that are team or organization-centric, which then led us to the coordination part. This is where we can tear down these bureaucratic and big frameworks and really have an adaptive and effective organization, is where we can build our own rhythms. Maybe a part of your organization is more predictable. They come together every 3 months. Maybe a part of your organization needs to be like a startup, so every 2 weeks you are figuring out product market fit. Both of them are necessary because we never know when the next big event gonna hit us and we need to change, right? These 12-month periods of budgets will not help us. We also cannot forget the leadership principles, right? Around purpose, values, transparency, autonomy, the organization and the customers. I'm gonna share the slides and you can have those. But those principles and behave according to these principles, namely the executives and the leaders, it's really critical to get this going. I saw too many organizations just having the rolling forecast and things fail because they didn't address their management model in a progressive way. And this is my call to action towards you. That's why I was telling, I'm not presenting a new shining model, I'm presenting what underpins it. Because you need to have discussions about what I will do with this respect. And it's not just zeros or ones. I go from a bureaucratic organization to a full adaptive. It's a spectrum. You're going to do something day by day. You're going to shape a new process. You're going to see how the organization reacts and keep going. Because these things are not easy. But those are the things that can push the responsibility towards the teams. Those are the things that can really help for people to ask for help and to have new skills. I deeply believe that in technology, we need to upgrade our financial literacy, but also the non-tech people also need to understand a bit of our world. Getting to the end, a bit of self-promotion. I'm starting a blog series if you want to read about that. I'm also committing towards you, so now I need to deliver. But also, I hope in next week, 2 weeks, I'm gonna publish the webinar that I have with Bjarte. That is one of the most known voices in the Beyond Budgeting community, where we did this fun thing, Team Topologies meets Beyond Budgeting, and now things go hand in hand. And yeah, I'm gonna be around. Talk to me if you are facing these problems or you want a soundboard. I do this as a job, and I really enjoy to see the spark of life in the eyes of people when they understand that there is something more that we can do beyond the bureaucratic process that we have. Thanks very much.